Hello, everybody. Gary Laubach, Mike Joseph. We are behind the mic getting ready for Bucknell, the first Patriot League game of the year. It is a 3:30 start. You are invited to join us on ESPN+. Mike, let's look at the Leopards before we take a look at Bucknell. They come into the ball game now 3-1. Setting some numbers here. Last winning record through 4 games was 2012. The last 4-1 record, should they win this week, 2009. The last Patriot League championship, 2013. So let's see what they've accomplished so far. First of all, this game troubles me a little bit because it's the first game I think Lafayette will be favored to win. I don't think they were necessarily favored in their other ball games.
No, I don't think they were favored throughout the season so far, but they're getting to a point where people have to wake up and take a look at them. And they have to look at them offensively. The way they're running the football, it's setting up everything else. It's allowing Dean DeNoble to be a game manager and also show his talents by running the football, and he can throw the football as well. He's on the same page with a lot of his receivers, some great throws downfield. So the running game is setting this entire tone for the season. It's getting everybody excited defensively that they don't have to go 3 and out, come back on the field, spend a lot of time on the field. So the running game, the offensive line is completely different this year. It's exciting, it's refreshing, and then the defense is feeding off of that.
How often have Mike and I heard over the years, run the ball, stop the run? Key to winning football, and Lafayette is doing that right now. We've talked about complementary football. You can't get more complementary than getting 20 points a game, giving up 20 points a game, getting 300 yards a game, giving up 300 yards a game. Both sides of the football have played well.
Yeah, they did, and the biggest thing I see is Lafayette turned the turnover they got into points, and that's what you have to do, especially at midfield. In years past, we would waste those type of possessions. We would punt the football away. They still have some issues in their kicking game, I believe, which are going to have to get shored up if you're going to win a close ball game. Now, this game wasn't as close, I don't think, against Monmouth as it looked at the end. Lafayette did have to hang on. But again, they're doing everything right, complimentary, like you said. If they can get a little bit more out of their kicking game, they're going to be a tough team to beat throughout the rest of the schedule.
As Mike mentioned, we're rushing the ball very well. It's a key to our success so far, 200 yards a game. But Jamar Curtis is the leading rusher in the Patriot League.
And it's been a while since we've had somebody like that. We probably got to go back to Ross Sherman to talk about that, and even further back when you talk about the great running backs that Lafayette has had. But, he's showing that he can do it, on the ground, between the tackles, outside the tackles. And then if we can get him the football out in space, man, he is so electric. And then you add in Conyers, who's doing a better job. Not sure if we're going to have Najee Adams, had a little ankle injury, so that might be an issue. But that offensive line is doing well. And again, look at Dean DeNoble. Look at the quarterback position. They're spreading the football around. Look at all the different receivers that he hit. It wasn't one guy. It wasn't just Stewart. It wasn't just, he got the ball early out to Pershing. He did some really nice things with the football. And then if you don't keep him in the box, he's going to hurt you with his legs.
You lead me to the next point, and that was quarterback efficiency. I think he's been very efficient. Dean is the Patriot League offensive player of the week this week. 64% he's completing his passes, 3 touchdowns. He's the second leading rusher on the team. Can't get more out of your quarterback than Dean's giving us. Defensively, Mike, 3 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, 13 players with double-digit tackles, 13 sacks. Those are very impressive numbers.
Yeah, it's team defense. And if you talk about the offense feeding off of Jamar and feeding off of Dean, the defense is feeding off of Preston Forney, and they're feeding off of Marco Olivas. And then you add Sekou White in the back, who's always around the football. Love the way he plays football. Comes up to the line of scrimmage, can be in the box, can play deep, can cover guys. We're getting a tremendous amount off the defensive line. It's just rotating. I think the rotation that Coach Andrews is doing up front, along with Mike St. Germain, the rotation is helping keep everybody fresh. So you don't have any guys taking plays off. You got guys running to the football constantly, and when you run to the football, you get turnovers, balls on the ground, you get more guys there. So again, complimentary, we talk about offensively, but this defense is a handful when you talk about everybody that you have to block.
That sounds like complimentary football to me. All right, the Bucknell Bison come in 1-2. Kind of odd that they had their bye week already. That's kind of interesting before the Penn game, which they lost last week, 37-21. Lafayette leads the series. Lafayette's won the last 2. But this game worries me a little bit. We got Princeton next week. They're always tough, but a team we would love to finally knock off. And then, of course, Holy Cross. Everybody's talking about Holy Cross. We cannot look past the Bison. The Bison run the ball pretty well. They throw the ball well. Their quarterback, Ralph Rucker, 60% completion. They don't rush with a lot of yardage. 81 yards a game, not so good. But they can throw the ball, And they've got a guy, Eric Weatherly, who is a Duke transfer. Watched him last week on tape. He's really good.
Yeah, he's a special player, and that's what I would worry about offensively again, is just stopping the run and making them one-dimensional. Even if they throw the ball better than they run it, you just don't want to let a team run the football at all. And you can talk about some sort of a trap game here. You know, I just can't see that happening because of Coach Troxel and this culture. It's a team that's looking one game at a time. They're looking to get better every day. Their reps. They're looking to just improve every day at every position. So he's going to harp on them about this being a league game, the first league game early in the season. He's going to harp on them about one play at a time and just doing your job. And I think Lafayette's done a great job of that overall. So defensively, it's going to be a matter of stopping the run and turning them into a one-dimensional team. We're pretty good in the secondary, and we get after the quarterback. Look at all the sacks we had last week.
For sure, we certainly do that. And again, we're 0-0 in the Patriot League. This is a big Patriot League opener. You want to go 1-0. Defensively, Blake Leakey is probably their best player. He's a junior linebacker, 28 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss and a sack. They've got a pretty good secondary. Their safety, John Schlendorf, is really good. But they're special. We got to worry that we don't want this game to come down to a field goal because they got a kid, Matt Shear. He already has 3 field goals over 45 yards. He hit one last week for 49 yards. And they got a kid that blocks kicks. Anish Vias has 5 blocks in the last 2 years, 2 last week.
You're getting me nervous now because the areas that we've struggled in, they are good in. And again, that's what it comes down to, special teams. And I think every year, special teams has to win you 1 or 2 games, or it can lose you 1 or 2 games. And we saw that last year. So we're going to have to be extra special on our protections, extra special getting the ball out, pinning people in deep, and then being, better on special teams, just getting points. Because not every possession is going to end in 7. Sometimes it's going to end in 3. And coaches now talk about ending possessions with some sort of a kick. A kick, a field goal, an extra point, or a punt. All those things are in some fashion turn the ball to the other team and you put your defense on the field, and that's what you need to do. But no change of field position for special teams. Lafayette's got to be better. They got to get more out of their kicking game. This Bucknell team is a team that's going to be hungry coming in. They win a ball game. They beat VMI. This is not a bad football team, and this is a football team that's going to be hungry. They've lost 2 in a row now to Lafayette. There's a rivalry. We always talk about Lafayette-Lehigh, but Lafayette and Bucknell has always been a rivalry, and at this time of year when the leaves are falling, Bucknell comes in here wanting to play. And
their head coach, Dave Cicchini, one of the best Lehigh wide receivers in history, so he probably doesn't like Lafayette very much either. What are you doing inside the huddle this week?
We're going to talk about the wide receiver play. How good was it? I mean, how Dean DeNoble and our quarterbacks are getting on the same page with the wide receivers. Now, can we add in a few more routes on the route tree? We've got the fade down, the comeback. We've got some slants going on. We need to be a little bit better on the quick screens and maybe attacking the middle of the field. So we're going to talk about the route tree and some of the routes I think they can get better at, which can add now to that offense.
Well, you come with us every week for Behind the Mic. You might as well also go inside the huddle every single week. Mike and I will be in the booth for the 3:30 call at Fisher Stadium. Why don't you join us on the Lafayette Sports Network on ESPN+. For Mike, I'm Gary. Thanks for watching.